So, welcome to WTF Stories and Advice. I'm Caroline Cranshaw,
And I'm Daryl Gove.
and we've been away for a long fucking time.
I
Trigger
think
warning.
whenever you promise that we're going to be more regular, we disappear. So I think let's
Mm,
not make any promises.
I know, but I really do want to be more regular. Well, in lots of ways. No, I'm just kidding.
So more water for hydration, more fiber, eat some good fruit, apples and pears.
Kiwi fruit. So the world's been pretty crazy, which is what inspired us to come back. We've been talking about coming back for a while, and I want to say we're going to be regular now, and we're back. But Daryl says
But
we're not allowed to say that.
because we're both so busy, we're just busy people. We've both got lives and busy businesses and things. And so, you know, we're here now and maybe we'll be here next week. Who knows? But the world is crazy, and we've been chatting about it on the phone, and we're like, we need to talk to you guys about this because you're seeing it too, right?
Yeah, I'm seeing. Well, are you talking about the audience?
To them, yeah, like, and I'm like, but they can't speak back because we're not live. We'll have to be live one day. But yeah, of course, everybody's seen it. But I don't know about you, but I just think it's all. I don't want to say bullshit, but like 3 years ago, if when crazy stuff was happening in the world, I was like, oh my god, the world's gone crazy. But now I'm just kind of used to the world being crazy. And so for me, it's just like a Tuesday. It's like, oh, drones, maybe UFOs, maybe like aliens and like toxic smog, fog, vaccines in the air, whatever. Oh, yeah, yeah. And what's happening tomorrow? Oprah turns out to be, I don't know, descendant from the Anunnaki, or I don't know.
Pretty much, yeah. I always used to say, "Oh my god, the world will never be as crazy as it is now," and it is so fucking crazy that I'm just amazed. So what do you okay, let's start with the drones.
Okay, yeah, drones.
Our whole point though, real quick, was what we thought we'd talk about is anxiety, right? And tips for dealing with
That's right.
anxiety. So we are gonna give you some tips to dealing with anxiety, but we're gonna talk about what may be causing people anxiety at the moment.
For example, did you have unprotected sex and you've missed your next period?
Well,
Not you personally,
no.
but like somebody that could make you anxious. Yep.
That could make you anxious. Just unprotected sex, if you're not in a monogamous relationship, I think is anxiety causing, but no one seems to use protection these days. But that's a whole nother topic.
Which we definitely have to talk more about later. But yeah, so sorry, what else? What's causing us anxiety in the world?
Well, I found it really interesting with the drones starting, right? These drone sightings, and then suddenly the government's coming out and saying they don't know what they are, which I do not believe for a millisecond that they don't know.
Of course they do. Of course they do. They just don't want to say it, which is fair. I think like if it's something military or it's something, then you don't have to tell us everything. On the other hand, I totally think it's the government.
Yeah.
I can think it is them, and I don't know if it's nefarious or not, but I don't trust them anymore.
Well, what's your theories?
My theory, well, do you know Miley Cyrus?
Yeah.
Think about it. Have you seen her and those drones in the same place? No. I think she might actually be the drones.
Oh, okay.
They might be Miley Cyrus. That is my theory.
Yeah. Okay. What else do you got? Because I think that theory sucks ass.
Okay. Well, like it could just be showing off a bit of technology. I've been reading some bits and bobs about this anti-gravity stuff that China supposedly has, and so does the USA. And of course, it could be defense. I mean, it makes sense of where it is, that it could be defensive posture against Russia or China or anyone else that wants to send a missile across. But mostly, I think it's about scaring the American public. I think they need to keep people scared in order to keep taking more control over different areas of people's lives. And whatever the real reason for it, I've no doubt that there's an angle of creating fear. I'm quite sure of that, that it's meant to do that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something there. What do you think about just looking at body language? And you and I are both very well versed in body language. When I watch people like Anthony Blinken or people doing these press releases, they are so obviously lying. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating in a way to watch some of these things because There's no point to watch it once you are aware that everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. I'm not allegedly, I'm not saying that in that sense,
Allegedly, yes.
allegedly. Once you see that somebody is lying, once you observe it, or you observe at least that they're withholding information when they're speaking, and that there's information that they have that they don't want to disclose. And you can see that through small things like holding their eyelids closed a little bit too long when they're speaking, when they're blinking. Anthony Blinken, is that his name? And so once that starts, it's like, well, this is a waste of time because you're not telling me the truth. So it's not going to help me find out what this is.
Yeah, I think that's true. But then also, there've been all these plasma sightings, right? And some people are saying, and I've seen it on video, and who knows these days with AI and how much can be just total bullshit that's created, but that they're going from being a drone to these like balls of plasma and back and forth, and they're changing.
Well, isn't it coincidence? Like, color me purple, right? But on the exact moment that they've launched these new holographic TVs, where you can actually, soon you're going to be able to buy them for your home, where there's a hologram that displays in your house and everything's in 3D. They've even made little video games. And at the exact moment where drone technology's got so good that they're able to do all these massive displays of dragons in the sky and stuff like they did in China with millions of drones using AI to coordinate them, at this exact moment of our technological development, suddenly plasmoids appear in the sky that turn into drones. I mean, basically, they're just showing off technology that we already know that they've got. And so, if this was something else, like say aliens or some other beings from another galaxy dimension or from under the water, then isn't it an extraordinary coincidence that it's happening right now when we could fake it? And based off of the back of Project Bluebeam, I think they're faking it. I think they're faking it. What do you think?
I think possibly, but I don't know. That's what I thought at first. I thought, okay, Project Bluebeam. If you don't know what Project Bluebeam is, go listen to our podcast that we talked about Project Bluebeam like a year or two ago, which was a interesting plot that the government is going to fake an alien invasion using holograms, and that this would get people so freaked out that they'd agree to one world government, right? So it's funny on like all the videos that I look at, and TikTok is definitely the one where I'm getting most of my source, is people are just commenting Project Bluebeam, Project Bluebeam, Project Bluebeam. But what I find interesting is that there's also some type of plasma, isn't it like factory or institute in Princeton, New Jersey, that like specializes in plasma where they've seen a lot of it. So I find that,
Oh.
yes, I find that interesting. I should have found some more facts on that.
Because I think that there also is plasma, right? We also have that technology. But again, I think it's from us, not aliens. But did we talk about MH370 and that theory that these kind of plasma projectiles made the plane teleport? And that this is something that USA can do now? Do you know about that theory?
I've seen the video that supposedly was leaked from a military source of the 370 plane, and it had these like orbs spinning around it. Like there's three of them spinning in front of it, and then it just disappears.
Yeah, apparently they're like plasmoids as
Yeah.
well. And apparently this is a technology that USA has and that we were showing that off to China because on that plane there was a bunch of engineers or I can't remember exactly who they were, but they were repatriating to China and taking technology with them. And USA decided to use this moment as a show of force to say, look at this technology that we have. We know what you're doing. We know you're stealing our people with this technology. And then they did that to say to China, back off. We have this vastly superior technology that you can't even imagine. And it sounds like the most crazy conspiracy. Like, how could that be true? I'll have to find the name of the guy that spent years researching it. But I listened to him chatting about it and I found his evidence quite compelling. The fact that it's not just one video of them, but there's two from different angles, that the radars of different countries were watching this at the same time. And all these things added up. So perhaps we've got advanced technology way more than we even know.
Hmm.
It could come from aliens.
Well, I'm beginning to think aliens don't come from other planets. I think they come from, because now Congress is doing all this disclosure.
Hmm.
And they're like, yes, they have found ships, they've had contact, they have a recovery team that they've recovered like several crafts. And they also said that they think the aliens are more interdimensional, so parallel universe or parallel dimension, as well as the ocean.
Yeah, it makes sense. I would have thought there'd be aliens in the ocean or some advanced being.
Well, you think about how much of the ocean isn't discovered, and because I've seen a UFO, I'm sure I've talked about it on this show where I was like 19, smoking a joint over a hill, overlooking at San Francisco Bay, and I see this thing come flying. And no, I wasn't the only one, a friend was with me, and but it had a red and green light flashing on it, which was interesting, but it like goes right into the ocean, but then it kept going under the water because you could see the light. And
Ah.
then we just screamed our heads off and drove away, basically. We were so freaked out.
Because you have told that before, but that was before we knew that the disclosure that apparently there were underwater aliens.
This was, yeah,
Mm.
back in like 1992 or something. And the other thing that was interesting, yeah, because we ran to this party, we like tell everybody we saw a UFO or something, and they were like, "Whatever, you're just stoned." But the next day on the front page in the newspaper, it said that there was thousands of UFO sightings called in to the police that night, and that it was just a
Mm.
meteorite. Not to worry, it's just a meteorite that hit the ocean and no one was hurt, blah blah blah. But this thing was not a meteorite. It was definitely had flashing lights on it, and it went under the ocean and continued to propel. I wish we hadn't been so scared. We sat there and watched it to see if it went down into the water or came back up, but we were too scared.
I believe that there's craft that we don't know what it is, right? So if we say UFO, we don't know if it's an alien or if it's terrestrial or whatever it is. But of course, there's stuff that me and you, we don't know what it is. And also, my family, we were driving to Aberdeen Airport in Scotland. I think we might have been picking my auntie up from New Zealand. And we saw this light zigzagging in the sky. And we all saw it. And we're like, well, planes can't do that. And there's a lot of like military bases and Royal Air Force bases near where we lived. So of course there's the potential it could have been some kind of craft and we just misinterpreted what we saw. But to all of us, we're like, how the hell can something zigzag in that way up and down the sky, this light? But I think even though all of those things could be true and all of these things could be real aliens, what if this is still all just a Project Bluebeam? Project Bluebeam, all a show to make us scared. Yeah, but then the fog comes.
Well, when they are distracting us with one thing, or there's something all over the news, or they're disclosing something major, I always am like, what are they doing that they don't want us to pay attention to? What are we not looking at? What are they hiding?
Over there.
I know, but I haven't really found anything, to be fair.
Mm.
But I haven't looked that hard, to be totally honest.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. What else could be the hiding? Or there's just this whole situation in the world right now that's a lot more crazy, isn't there? Where there's power struggles in every country. There seems to be more polarization between the people, and whatever's happening, there's no doubt there's an agenda. Even if the only agenda is how they disclose the information, how they admit to it, and when there's a reason for the timing. And that reason may be so we don't panic. But isn't it interesting how, when you grew up, didn't you think if we saw UFOs and had confirmation of aliens that it would be like the biggest event that ever happened and everybody would be like celebrating and going, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't believe. Do you remember where you were on the day you found out there were aliens? And now for everybody, it's a Tuesday. We just turn the paper. Oh, aliens. Okay, what else?
I know. That's the irony, and I think the government's a little bit shocked with doing their disclosure that they're like, "Guys, yeah, it's true. There are aliens." And everyone's like, "Uh-huh, anyways, yeah." Yeah, I don't know. And they're like, "Oh, do you understand what we're disclosing here?" "Nah." Well, I know everyone's like, "Yeah, next."
It's like, yeah, we already thought there were. We knew you were hiding it, and now you're admitting it, but you're not really giving us any more than a confirmation of what we already know. So it's really not that exciting. Like, give me a video of you chatting with a little green man, then I'll be excited. Like, show me that.
So, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But the other theory was they were looking for radioactive material, right? And that there was radioactive material that had gone missing from New Jersey, like at the port, I'm pretty sure.
That's scary. And I also read that not only that, but there were nuclear missiles went missing. This the whole thing that they make movies about, Sum of All Fears. Was that what that was about? I can't remember. But however, it was always this threat during the Cold War era? What if some nuclear missiles went missing? And apparently it was from Ukraine they went missing during the breakup of the Soviet Union. And someone suggesting that they might have made it to that area. Somebody might be wanting to detonate stuff. Like, I don't think illegal immigrants can smuggle nuclear weapons in their underwear. So I think maybe if they're trying to push that, it's too far. But yeah, I don't know. Could be. But then again, why wouldn't they just say maybe they wouldn't want people to panic?
Well, I think and people would panic. If I was living in New Jersey, I'd be getting the hell out. not. I tell you that.
Where would you go?
New Zealand.
Oh, and you already went here.
Probably well, if I had to stay in the United States, I'd go to, like, Wyoming or some like, North Dakota. I'd probably go somewhere rural and, like, way far away. Colorado. I'd go high and rural is what I would do personally.
I think I'd want to be somewhere like near water, but maybe near a lake rather than the ocean. So I don't know, it's like Michigan. Is
Yeah.
that someplace? But somewhere not populated. So somewhere like a seaside town and something like that.
There's a lot of lakes in Michigan, that's for sure. But the other thing is, just on the topic of that, is I'd say we're the closest to nuclear war as we have been since what, the 40s, right?
Yep. So since ever, right? Yeah.
Since ever. So
Since anybody got a bomb to get us back with.
and that's when they really started talking the first rumors and things like Roswell and alien crashes and sightings were when we were like playing with nuclear war and making nuclear bombs. And that's the other thing. It could be if there's like a whole nother group of beings that live on this planet with us and they're like, shit, they're going to blow us all up. They might be interfering or doing something to mess with them.
Well, that would make sense as well, wouldn't it? Like, even extraterrestrials, you'd think that imagine you're advanced and you're going and you're visiting developing countries and you find out that they have discovered nuclear bombs and they're pointing them at each other. You might have to go and intervene. And maybe they're holding off intervening until now. But again, that's also very convenient timing. And so, is that real? Are we pretending to be close to nuclear war? Because it doesn't really make any sense how Russia and US have postured so strongly against each other without reaction. Like nobody's panicking, going, "Why the fuck are we not stopping this? Why are we keeping this war going? We're so close to nuclear war. We're going to blow each other up." And everyone's like, "Yeah, but look over there. Like, what about like the sea level rising or plastic straws?" And not that looking after the environment's not important, but it's not going to matter if we're all blown up. And nobody's looking at that. Very few people are talking about it. So yeah, yeah. Hopefully we don't all get blown up. But if we do, and you've moved here to New Zealand with us, then you're going to be fine, apparently.
Yeah, we're in the one spot in the world that's supposed to be okay, supposedly. But there's been nuclear bombs dropped before, right? Japan, poor Japan. And then I guess the other one was just the nuclear reactor in Chernobyl, right? That was more of a reactor, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah, there's been a few things like that. There's been the two in Japan, and there was all the nuclear testing, of course, all around the world. That's why New Zealand still doesn't like the French because they were testing out.
Well, we don't allow any nuclear capabilities to even come to New Zealand. And it really pisses America off. Because they want their submarines and their naval ships to be able to come here. So they get really shitty about it. But supposedly we're allies. So hopefully it'll be fine.
And I think they've managed it for a number of years, so that's okay. But then there's also, there's been Chernobyl, but wasn't there like is it Long Island or 9 Mile Island or something in, wasn't there another accident in USA? And then there was Fukushima. But all of this would really pale in comparison to what an actual nuclear war would look like, because it would just be so many more orders of magnitude greater that we couldn't even imagine it. And, like one well placed nuclear bomb could wipe out Britain, just put it in the channel and just send a tidal wave over the country and you're done. That's it, gone. And that's just one. That's not firing them back and forward at each other and causing a nuclear winter. Well, it used to be a really scary thought, but I just don't believe they'll do it. I think they're bluffing.
No, well, no one wins. No one wins a nuclear war, right? Yeah, we're all fucked.
Except for psychos that want to see people die. They would win.
They would die as well. So let's talk about the fog. Everyone's going crazy. They're all getting videos of it. The other interesting thing, I'm like, though, is how people would send their drones up to have a look, and the drones instantly would go flat battery and drop out of the sky.
Ooh.
And so they're like, what the hell? So no one's been able to like get like close up videos with their own drones to this.
What they need is a good zoom lens.
Well, the people that do get good zoom lenses are, and that's really interesting. What I find interesting is I'll talk to friends and family in the States and they don't know anything about it.
Really?
They're like, what are you talking about? Like, I think it's probably come to the forefront now. I'm going to talk to a few today and it'll be interesting to see if they've heard more about it. Because they're just like, where are you getting this news from? They had no idea what I was talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, do they not use TikTok? Well, they're not
No.
going to be able to in a few weeks.
Well, supposedly it's going to be saved. Fingers crossed.
If it isn't, I have a really good business idea, and feel free to steal this, anyone. Set up a company called TalkTick, and make it exactly the same and get everyone to swap across to it. Done.
Oh, there you go, Daryl, why didn't I think of that? It actually really pisses me off that they banned that because they're trying to claim it's a Chinese company. It isn't. It's
Yeah, they just want control.
yeah, it's all about control and censorship, which I just am not a fan of. So, okay, now let's so there was that going on, and then this weird fog started. But then there's all these people are posting how it looks almost like confetti or weird, like it's like solid matter or like plastic snow.
The interesting thing about this, before I knew there was this fog thing going on, I did see a video where someone was like showing what the fog looked like and how
Mhm.
weird it was. And I would have thought that that was weird, except for a few months ago. It was a really foggy night here, and I was taking the dog out to pee and had a bright torch, or maybe I was using my phone light or something, my phone camera, and it looked exactly like that. And so people are saying, "Oh, this looks really weird," and I'm thinking, no, that's what dense fog looks like up close, the way it reflects and refracts the light. I can't say the words. So, on one hand, I started off quite skeptical with this fog thing. On the other hand, I totally think that some nefarious group of people is wants to poison us all. So, of course, they're doing it. Of course, they're releasing something into the air
Well, what I found interesting with that was this one guy posts that he's got a lab that he tests for like contaminants and he's like some level something lab. I'll have to look him up. He's on X.
on X. I saw him. Yeah,
And he said, "Send me samples. Here's how you get a sample. You take a clean jar and like trap it in this jar and then send it to me." And then he posted, did you see that basically the samples are like just disappearing? Like they're getting sent, but then they're being intercepted.
and I think that's very convenient, though. It's a good way to like build tension, get people to engage and build a following, and then, oh no, I don't have these samples to test something. And so again, it could be true, but my conspiracy mind is a bit like, or are you just wanting attention? So I don't know.
Mm. But he had his own samples. I think it was samples from other people that were going missing.
It's funny because I once trapped something in a jar and I gave it to my sister and she opened it up and she looked at me and she goes, I can't believe that worked. Neither of us said what it was. She just knew straight away.
Daryl. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know, there's some woman that's like made, I don't even know how many hundred thousands of dollars doing it. And she ended up selling her farts in a jar. And she ended up going to hospital with intense abdominal pain. And she figured out she was taking too much fiber because the fiber was like
Oh
she created
no.
some like blockage because she was having so much fiber because she had such demand for her farts.
Shit. She could have just got some friends, like got a little team of people like
Yeah, exactly. Or I remember there used to be this, like, terrible, like, joke store or magic store that was in this place called Pier 39 in San Francisco, and it was a very
hmm
touristy area, and you could buy like, I bought a can of fart spray,
hmm
and I sprayed it in this guy's car, but it smelled pretty fucking rank. So if I guess I was selling farts in a jar, I'd probably just spray a little of that each in each one.
It's pretty rank, that spray. When I was growing up, we used to go to Blackpool in England,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you know it, it's like a seaside town with
I've
piers as
heard of
well.
it.
And it's got like, it used to have like the biggest roller coaster in Europe and whatever. And it's got like a replica of the Eiffel Tower, something that looks very similar called Blackpool Tower. And
Mhm.
we had jokes shops and you get fake poo. You get poo in a can. So
Yeah.
you'd like
Ooh.
spray these fake dog poos and then you could put fart gas on it. And what was even worse was we'd get these little glass vials of called stink bombs.
Yep.
And if you smash them, it was just the most disgusting, horrid, eggy rottenness that you could ever imagine. Oh, they were brilliant. Oh, the things you could do with these fake poos and farts.
Oh God.
Oh dear.
Fog could be trying to hide something. They're trying to hide something in the sky that they don't want people to see.
Well, also they could be testing out the because the fog would make a great canvas for projecting holograms for Project Bluebeam, wouldn't it?
Mm.
And so let's just get our fog ready. Ah, that works. Now, the next time we have the fog, we can make an alien appear out of it, and it will actually just be a hologram, but you'll think it's real because it's all scary, like that movie. Have you seen The Mist? Stephen
No.
King? Really? Oh, like if you are scared of this fog, do not watch that movie because you will be terrified of the things that could come out of it.
Well, they actually did an experiment in San Francisco where they, like, put some type of bacteria in fog, they sprayed it. It was
Hmm.
Operation Sea Spray, 1950, U.S. Navy secret biological warfare experiment, which they put I don't know, globigili bacteria sprayed over the San Francisco Bay Area in California in order to determine how vulnerable a city like San Francisco may be to a bioweapon attack. Killed at least one person, but apparently they also did it in the fog. They did a generated fog and sent it out as well in this bacteria. So they did it in
Hmm.
the 60s. They did it in airports and subways. No wonder you always get sick when you go in the airport. But they did it all over. And people go, "Oh, our government doesn't do stuff like that." Yes, yes, they do.
Yeah, your
They
government doesn't like you.
well,
Sorry.
at least they're testing or doing interesting things.
If you haven't seen it, like, do go and watch The Mist. There's a TV series and there's also the movie. And
Mm.
without giving too much away, basically it's kind of like a portal to either another universe or dimension or another world, and these beings start coming out into the mist, these
Oh.
aliens, and killing everyone. And it's pretty creepy.
Oh, I think I have seen that actually.
Doing
There's a
that.
more recent one, right?
Yeah, so there's The Fog, which is like an old horror film, and then there's The Mist, which is the Stephen King one, and then they made a TV series of it more recently. And the TV series, it's the same concept but different characters, different situation. They're both really good. Well, they're to my taste at least. I like those kind
Yeah.
of things.
I think I saw one recently where it was like going to into a grocery store
Yeah,
and someone like goes out to the car and these like octopus looking creatures were getting people and it's just like
yep, that's it.
um,
Yep,
not really my taste personally, but so I mean
that's
with all
great.
this crazy stuff going on in the world, what are some tips we can give people to help?
Well, the number one tip that I give people who are anxious is to actually switch off the news. So stop listening to what's going on in the world. Stop reading about it. If it's really important, you'll find out. I listened to the radio for the first time in 4 years recently because we were away camping and we had like a little portable one. It was such a weird experience to do that because during COVID, I just stopped the news completely. I think that even if you're not aware of it, when you hear, oh, something bad's happening in China, something bad's happening in Vietnam, in USA, in Britain, it creates anxiety, even subconsciously. And so part of managing anxiety is managing the input, the external input. Like, what is it that we're hearing? What is it we're listening to? And at the very least, and this is what I ask my clients to do, is give yourself 15 minutes in the morning where you just don't look at your phone, you don't have any technology, you don't look at the messages on TikTok, you don't read the news, you just give yourself time to wake up and get your head where you want it to be. Get outside, get some fresh air, get some sunlight before you put in any external input. So you become in control about what you consume. And I think that's a very empowering thing that people can do. And it's the first thing. What about you?
That's the first thing I tell people as well. And I think it's very important to get your nervous system into a calm state. Like reduce your coffee, do things that are more what I call somatic exercises. There's tons of information on somatic exercises like TRE, which is trauma release exercise. There's all types of stuff where you get your body to do this type of shaking, and that helps get this anxiety out because anxiety, part of it is releasing all this energy so that we can run and we can fight if there's like a threat. But now we're seeing threats from across the world or threats over like New Jersey in the sky. It's a threat. And my body's like, what the hell's happening? Alien invasion. And then you'll extrapolate that out. So I think really work on getting your nervous system calm. I really recommend the supplement L-theanine, which is a derivative of green tea. It boosts a chemical called GABA, what that makes you feel calm and relaxed. And listen to hypnosis. That is one of my biggest tips is because it helps switch on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that relaxation response. Visualize what you want to happen. Calm your nervous system. Tell yourself that you're safe and protected. That was my mantra when I had anxiety. That really helped me is I'm safe and protected. I'm safe and protected.
Because people who are good at anxiety, they're good at anxiety because they're good at imagining what's going to happen. They're visualizing the plane crashing or the aliens invading. You'll also be good at hypnosis. You'll be good at visualizing a safe place, good at visualizing everything going right. And I think I think hypnosis and meditation are underrated to how powerful they are and how good they are at combating anxiety. But I also think that timing them to be in the middle of the day to give your brain a bit of a reset is also an additional bonus that we can have that is underrated. Cultures where, like in the Mediterranean, where they have their siesta and people have a nap, what we find is their health is so much better. The people that nap, the people that have those siestas, our brains need us to shut down for a little bit in the middle of the day and just rest and recover. And if you're somebody that suffers from anxiety, hypnosis at any time of the day is going to help. Do it in the morning to get your day off to a good start. Do it at night to get to sleep. But if you also do 10 minutes in the middle of the day, it gives your brain a bit of a reset. It gives your nervous system a bit of a reset. It's telling your brain and your body, you're safe, it's okay. And so if things have been stressing you out through the day, they can build up and build up and build up. So by the end of the day, you're fried. But if you have a little reset in the middle, it can just temper anxiety. It can just keep it at bay. So 100% hypnosis. And I think in the middle of the day as well. And if you don't want to do hypnosis, it's not your thing, have a nap. Like just close your eyes, set your alarm for 20 minutes. Don't go longer so you don't go into a deep sleep and then wake up feeling all groggy. Just 20 minutes, eyes closed, deep breathing, slow breathing. And that's going to help as well.
I think we do need to reduce the amount of stimulus. I hear that from so many people. Like, I'm just resting. I'm doing nothing over the holidays but resting, but I still feel exhausted. And I think that part of that is we're just constantly on our phones, on social media, going from this site to that site, and just inputting constant information. And our brains are not allowed to relax. It's not calming down. It's too much.
It is, and I always ask my clients, like, what do you do to relax? And they're going to say something like, oh, I'll scroll on TikTok or I'll watch Netflix. And I'll say, no, that's not relaxation. That's still external input stimulating your brain. Relaxation to me is going to be having a bath, maybe reading a book that's not too exciting, going for a walk, these kind of things, yoga, meditation, hypnosis. And so what of these things do you do? Maybe sitting knitting or doing needlework, something not too complicated, but some repetitive task that gets you in the flow state. And painting. People aren't doing these generally. And if you're not doing them, get doing them. There's been a lot of research recently on the ability of repetitive tasks to bring down cortisol, bring down anxiety, and it's very compelling. There's a book, a guy in Melbourne, he's an Australian, and he was a neuroscientist, and he got his son to design coloring books for adults. So those coloring books for adults started with this guy. It's called The Neuroscience of Mindfulness is the name of the book. And he talks about how he watched the brains of people doing this coloring in, these repetitive tasks. And the key to it is it had to be repetitive. So they couldn't just be this super complicated scene with flowers and birds. It had to be repetitive shapes so that the brain could switch off and the body just took over doing it on its own. And they found that anxiety went down, cortisol went down, and it lasted afterwards. Like they stayed less anxious. And it was something like 5 minutes is all they had to do. 5 minutes of coloring or 5 minutes of a repetitive task. So something like that. If you've got anxiety and you're worried about what's going on in the world, then put down your phone, pick up a book. Put down your phone, pick up a coloring book, go for a walk, listen to music, listen to classical music, listen to soft, easy listening music, or just go and sit outside. Like, tell you what, outside of my garden, I got a hammock, right? And I got a pool. And because it's summer here. So I lie in the hammock for an hour towards the end of the day, just get the sun on the front half. And then once I've had an hour there, I go to the pool and we've got an air mattress and I just lie on my front in there for an hour. Uh, After about 20 minutes, it is impossible to have any anxiety. Like just lying, eyes closed, baking in the sun in a safe way. The sun's not too bright at the time of day I go out, and just letting yourself be in nature, surrounded by trees, listening to the birds, hearing the water. Everyone that's done that knows it's therapeutic. So go and do it. Like make some time for it. And if you're really busy and you're like, "Oh, I don't have time for it," make it a task on your to-do list. So my people that are too busy to relax, I give it to them as a job. Like this is a task that you have to do every day. First, we talk about why and why it's important and what it will mean to them, and get them to agree to it, and then make it a task. Now it's a task, you have to do it. Now you'll find time.
Interesting. I was watching a podcast with Martha Beck, who is a very famous life coach. She was like Oprah's life coach. And she was saying to cover your left eye and to look up, and that stops anxiety. So I think you could experiment with both. Cover your left eye, look up. That's supposed to stop it in its tracks, or cover your right eye, look up. You could just play with it. But that's another one. I think
Just playing with it is the other thing. Is that what you mean?
yeah.
Lots of people have taken that.
Yes, absolutely. Masturbation's very healthy. The other thing that I really recommend is to start to reprogram your mind and what you believe about the universe, because the more they're finding out about parallel universes and how the world actually works, it is starting in quantum physics. It is all starting to become very clear that a lot of what we experience, we are generating. We are generating with our consciousness. We are generating our lives through our belief systems and what we believe about the world. And so tell yourself that you live in a world where you're safe, where you live in a world where you're successful or you have what you want or whatever. It's like really look at what's causing you anxiety. Look at how you can change it. If everything in your life is amazing, but you have this anxiety, which that doesn't happen that often, I find. I mean, do you get clients that everything in their life is perfect, but they have anxiety?
Um, well, maybe perfect. It's depending on what they thought perfect would look like. Is that what you
Mm.
mean? Yeah, like they've got everything in inverted commas,
Except
except yeah.
but there's something in their life that they are not dealing with or they're avoiding or they haven't processed, and I think that if you start to tell yourself a new story, you are gonna create a different result, and I read a great book. Here's my book recommendation. I just love this book. It's called How to Change Your Universe. It's by a guy named John Gabriel. He did a very famous book on weight loss called The Gabriel Method, and talks about using power of visualization and changing your mind. And so in this one, he talks about how we can change our reality with visualization as well. He is a trained hypnotherapist, though I don't think he admits that in his books. But what's really interesting is he used the example of quantum computers. And you have these quantum computers that Google and NASA are making, and they can solve problems that would take a regular computer like trillions of years now, apparently, in like 3 minutes. But how they work is they split themselves off into infinite, multiple parallel realities, and they all simultaneously work on a bit of the code, and then they bring themselves back into this reality and come up with a solution. Like they're admitting
Shit, that's clever. It's almost unbelievable.
they talk about how they're accessing parallel dimensions and realities, and they're taking resources from those and bringing them back into this universe, which you're like, what? What are you getting? So there's stuff going on in the world that is just insane. But so since reading this book, I'm like, I just keep telling myself I live in a reality where whatever it is I'm wanting to change. Like at the moment, I've gained a little bit of weight. And so I really want to work on doing that. So I live in reality where I eat healthy and I eat clean and I exercise and that's the person who I am. And I've been doing it. Obviously, I got hypnotized to really be motivated, and that helped hugely.
Yay.
But I think it's that tell yourself you live in a universe where you're calm, where you're at peace, where you're confident. I guess it's figuring out what type of anxiety you have, right? And there's so we should do another thing, doing deep dive into it. But
Yeah, I think let's follow up with maybe specific types of anxiety, but as a general rule, I think people need to know these things. I think they need to know that anxiety can be helped. For the most part, my belief is that it can be helped for pretty much every person in almost every case, and that the same type of things can help almost everyone. So somatics, disconnecting, connecting to nature, going for walks, all these things that we're talking about, and also stepping into the reality that you want through affirmations, hypnosis, prayer, that kind of thing. I've got to shout out to my friend Karen during COVID. She used to say, would bring up something scary about what was going on in the world. And she'd go, I'm just not stepping into that reality. And so I just started
mm,
saying it all the time. And so many people have said to me, oh, I like that. And like, I'm just saying, I'm not stepping into the reality where that happens. I'm just not going to.
yeah,
I just
exactly.
point blank, I'm not stepping into reality where there's nuclear war. No, I'm not doing it. I refuse. I'm not. And it's not through denial. It's a declaration. It's a statement of fact. No, I'm not doing it. I'm stepping into relaxation and peace and love and light and slimness. And, 3 days after listening to somebody that's saying that you can actually get youthfulness back through the power of intention, right? So that your body can heal and become younger, which I thought that's very interesting. Then I just find this. I decided, oh, that's a reality I think I'd like to step into. One of the first signs of aging that I've got a lot of white hair, which I quite like actually. I think it suits. I'm not unhappy about it. But the next thing I find out is, oh, this latest research says that hair can actually regain its color. We used to think that it couldn't. And so I'm just making my way through that research. And it's funny how at the exact moment of making the intention, maybe I'll just get younger, that I then stumble across this research.
I've reversed gray hair,
Have you?
like, not completely, but yeah, through taking copper
Whopper.
supplements, and because I had been taking high doses of zinc for a long time, especially over COVID and all of that, but never thought to take copper. And apparently that can cause a deficiency in copper. So I started taking copper and it definitely has gotten a lot less. The other thing you can do for that is copper peptides. That's the next thing I've explored about reversing aging as well. And so you can put that on your scalp. I'm going to order some copper peptides that you can apply to your skin and it's supposed to reverse aging as well.
Oh, exciting, exciting. Yeah, I've heard of copper, and I think it's quite a common supplement, right? But my understanding was once the hair went white, it was because the pigment producing cells had died. And so they're suggesting that you can even reverse white.
Well, mine was white and it's gone back to the regular color.
Wow, well done. Yeah. See, they say people have maybe a narrow conception of what you can actually achieve when you try, because we kind of have these beliefs, including myself, that hey, this is what reality is. But I just remember that one time when I was in class with you, and I had lost this childhood collection that would be worth a lot of money. Do you remember that? I was and that's not something you can't be hypnotized to find something that's been missing for 20 years. And
Yes, you can.
well, yeah, as it turns out, that was my belief, and you came and you hypnotized me, and I went home that weekend and found it. It just I wasn't even looking for it. It just turned up after 20 years because you hypnotized me to find it, and I was like, "What the hell?" I mean, I've moved 35 times in 25 years, right?
Wow,
So
holy
it's
crap.
yeah, I know. So it's not like I haven't packed and unpacked a lot, right? So it's not like I had boxes sitting unexplored. I had looked in every box. I had packaged everything. But somehow this box, through all of those moves, had remained unpacked or it magically transported there, which is what I think happened.
Well,
Hypnotized
maybe
to exist.
because you were telling yourself you couldn't find it, you suddenly were living in a universe where you didn't have it, but it was in a parallel reality where you did find it.
We brought it through. I was just having a man look. That's what has happened.
Yeah.
For 25 years, I was having a man look.
Man eyes. I know. That's a common saying around my house. It's like, have you had a look or have you had a man look? Which one is it? Yeah. Oh God. Funny. But I
Awesome.
think well, that's the thing. I've run around the house saying, I can't find my glasses and they're on my head. Or you know what I mean? Or you like you say you keep telling yourself you can't find something and it's right in front of you. But because you're telling yourself you can't find it, you can't. You don't see it. It's not in your reality. The other thing is attach a color to it. Imagine attaching a color to your lost item and imagine you can float above wherever you are or wherever you think it is and look for that color to pop up.
Maybe we should do this really briefly for anybody that's lost something and they want to find it. Do you want to take them through it real quick? So think of the thing
Uh,
that you can't find.
okay, so if you're missing something, if you've been looking a long time, just imagine attaching a color like a balloon, right? Like a round balloon that is this bright color that really stands out. Imagine you can tie it to that item or it just somehow attaches. And then just imagine floating up above wherever you think it is. And if you're not sure, you can float up really high and imagine you can look down or even just like kind of feel where it might be if you're not that visual. And then just see for where the color pops up. And that's it. And then go look there. But tell yourself you live in a reality where you have it back. You found it. I mean, I've hypnotized lots of people for missing items. It's quite a common thing. People, and it's always they go on holiday, they hide it in some random place like jewelry or something, and then they cannot remember. I use kinesiology to help them figure that out as well. But I just regress them back, and yeah, they always seem to find it.
Because we put things down subconsciously. We're not thinking. We're walking about the house and we'll go, "Oh, I'll just put that in there for safety," and then we forget to remember it and we go on with our
Yeah.
lives. But it is safe.
But the thing you do, which I because I have done that myself, it took me ages to find the thing, is take a photo. If you hide something, just take a photo of where you've hid it on your phone, and then you have a little reminder. That's my advice to prevent that from happening again.
I just say it out loud. I go, Daryl, you have put your keys in this drawer. That is where they are. And so I got like
Yeah,
this combination memory of my own voice and saying it, and
that's a good idea.
that works.
Yeah,
I used to make songs up for people that would lose things, like lose their
yeah.
keys or they forget to do things, and I just have them sing a song to themselves every time they did it. So when I get out of the car, I lock the door, put the keys in my pocket. After locking themselves in
Yeah.
like 3 times, locking the keys in the car,
Ah,
it works.
That it's just we go on autopilot and we're so distracted. Anyways, well, I think we've probably jabbered on long enough for today.
We definitely need to come back and keep going because there's so much more to talk about. The author of that book, The Neuroscience of Mindfulness, is Stan Brodsky, and he also has The Neuroscience of Sleep, which I'm about to start. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Oh, I think I have that book actually.
So good. It's so simple, easy to understand, and it will help you understand anxiety better, but also why the things that we have suggested are going to be helpful in you getting on top of your anxiety. Because we want some anxiety, right? It's helpful for us. It keeps us out of danger. But when it's too high, when you're constantly activated, you need some help sometimes. And this book, it's going to be helpful if you read it, as well as obviously the mindfulness and the meditation, the hypnosis.
Coloring is a good idea. I used to love to color. I think I'll get back into that.
Do it. Try his books. They're like, get the Stan Brodsky ones. In New Zealand, you get them on Mighty Ape. I'm sure you can get them on like eBay or Amazon. They're really, really good books. Yeah.
Or you can, if you don't have extra money for books because you're not living in that reality, but you're soon to be living in reality where you have all the money to buy all the coloring books you want, you can just print something off. Well, if you have a
Yeah.
printer.
You can just draw your own geometric shapes.
Yeah,
And
exactly. You can trace it on your computer if you can't find one, or trace something else and then color your own one in. There's lots of ways you can do it. But
or you can do a different repetitive task. Like you could go berry picking and earn some extra money. Like there's
yeah,
so many things you could do, but the key is it should be repetitive so that you can kind of switch off while you're doing it.
yeah, good idea.
Great. Well, I think that yes.
We've got letters to answer as well, so we're going to do that. And write to us also just with if there's questions you have or topics you'd like us to cover. We're definitely getting back into it. That's it. I know I say this every year, but this time I mean it. And let us know what you need help with.
So how will they get a hold of us? You can email us on
I think it's
WTF Stories and
WTF
Advice
stories. I don't even remember.
at
And our
gmail.com.
email, yeah, it'll be in the link below. Write to us, send it, give us a review, share this with your friends. There's tons of old episodes. If this is the first one you're listening to, we are two crazy ass hypnotherapists, and we just love to tell people, give advice, and talk about weird topics.
And if you need to confess and get something horrible that you've done off your chest, then send us your confessions. We'll read them out publicly
Mm.
and maybe laugh a little bit at it, depending.
Probably, most likely. But yeah, laughing with you because
Oh
we've
my
all
gosh.
done embarrassing shit. What?
I have to tell you, I was gaming with this guy in Tasmania, and he's like,
Mhm.
"We all listen to you to your podcast," and it's like, I've got all of the team at work, like in the kitchens, listening to
Oh.
you, and they're like, sometimes I feel really sorry for the people that write to you. I said, "What is it?" I was like, "What is it? Because we're mean and make fun of them." He goes, "Yeah, like you do a bit," and
Oh, no. Oh, I feel bad.
so yeah, I mean, we laugh and we joke, but it's like it's also like if you don't want that, don't write in, like because we like to make light of everything. And he says, "Oh, but you do really help them. Like you go through everything they need to know." And it's like, yeah, if you are really sensitive and you want just to be taken seriously, go and get some therapy, right? Go and see a hypnotherapist. If you're in our clinic, yeah, we'll have a laugh, but we're gonna be really serious with you as well. But if you write to us, be aware that we look for fun. We want this to be light. Things can be traumatic and helpful and light at the same time. And so just be prepared for that. If you're going to write to us, which we hope that you do, let us make a little joke here and there.
Don't write to us if you don't want us to laugh. But I mean, I laugh in clinic with people all the time, right? Because sometimes you just have to laugh, right? Things are so bad. And I laugh at myself all the time.
I mean, me
So
too. I just see you and I just start laughing.
shut up, you asshole. Well, I am fucking hilarious. So yeah, that's
Awesome.
why.
All right. Well,
All right. On that
see you
note,
next time.
okay.
Bye.
Bye.